Hi everyone, Isha here. Today I'm going live with Lorena and she's going to talk about her coaching niche, authenticity, and how she helps her clients through poetry, find their authenticity and live in their lives and show up in the best way. So I'm going to go ahead and add her in here. Okay, sent her the invite.
Yeah.
Hi, did it work? Sorry, I just need to clear my screen. I don't know what's. Okay, there we go.
Can you?
Hey, how are you?
I am doing amazing. Thank you so much for having me today and agree to have a talk to me.
Of course, absolutely. I'm so happy you can join and make time. I'm just gonna check the audio real quick. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Can you see me? Everything's
Yeah,
okay? Okay. I
everything.
can see you very clearly too, so and hear you. So good. We're starting off on a good note. But how are you feeling today?
I am feeling amazing. I'm excited. I always love to have beautiful and meaningful conversations with my tribe. With
Absolutely.
yes, and I had a beautiful morning, and I have clients after this, so I am very excited.
Amazing, amazing. Well, let's jump into it. So I'm just gonna give you a brief introduction and then let you introduce yourself to our viewers.
All right.
So I met Lorena through our coaching community. We graduated from the same certification program, and I've gotten to know Lorena a little bit and her background. She comes from quite a diverse background, so I'm going to let her say more of it. And something special that I wanted to note is that she helps her clients through poetry. And from working with different coaches and meeting people, I actually haven't come across this very often. So I feel like this is a really unique way that she helps her clients. So I'm going to go ahead, Lorena, and let you introduce yourself. And thank you so much for joining us today.
Yes, thank you so much. Well, yes, I am Lorena. I am an authenticity coach and I am also a poet. I am originally from Argentina and I live in Fort Lauderdale now. I am a mom of three and a happy wife. And I'm so blessed to have found my purpose, which is helping people and also being able to merge my passion for poetry with coaching and authenticity. So everything's coming together. You know, sometimes things take time, but at the end of the day, if you really love something and you just do it for the love of it without expectations, everything falls into place.
I love that, absolutely. And I feel like that resonates with so many people where they might feel like where they're trying to get to is taking longer than they expected and they can kind of get discouraged. So the fact that you said it may take the time that it takes, but when you do arrive at where you're meant to be, it's so worth it and that feeling just truly goes a long way.
Yes, you know, like the bigger your project and your passion and your dream is going to take the longest, you know, just like with big trees, you know, you have to grow like a ginormous root to be able to get the fruits of your labor. Yes.
That was such a great metaphor to use. I know I've heard the metaphor a couple of times recently about corn versus apples. I don't know if you were in the coaching calls with that because we've been on the coach. You and I have been in the same coaching calls for a while now. For the past year, so many. I feel like there's like hundreds. But I don't know if you heard of them. If you were there when they said the metaphor too about how corn. Let me see. I hope I'm getting this right. But when corn grows and comes to fruition, it's a bit faster. But and apples take longer. But when they are there, uh, they last longer and they're there to stay. So I feel like this is such a clear metaphor for the things we want in life and what we work hard toward over time, and those things may take longer, whether it's a certain type of relationship, career, internal feeling of self-worth, or whatever it is. When you do arrive, it's well worth the wait, and there's a reason why that took so long. It's because it was very unique in what it needed and what it required of you.
Yes, yes, absolutely. I agree. I agree. And the older you get, you realize, you cannot rush into things that they
Mm.
are important for you, because it's really in the journey that you get to learn so much, and to change ways, and to try this and that, and to give yourself time to sometimes to fail a little bit and to start over, because the sooner you fail, the sooner you're going to get where you want to go, because that's unavoidable.
Absolutely, failing forward. That's been a recent, I would say recent in the past year or two motto of mine. Like I'm just gonna fail forward and just keep going because eventually it'll come together. But in talking about this journey and your path and what it takes to get there, can you share a little bit about what got you into coaching? And I know you said you're a mother of three. You're originally from Argentina. I can't wait to go there. And I actually know a couple people over there, and they're like, you have to come. So that's somewhere it's definitely on my list to go. But yeah, can you share just a little bit about your journey, what led you to becoming a coach, and is there
Yes.
anything else you want to share?
Yes. Well, I was born in Argentina, and around the age of 15, I was hanging out in the beach with my mother, and somebody came to sign people up for a beauty contest. And I was not thinking I was up for that or cute or anything, but my mother was very excited to sign me in, because if you sign in, then you and your parents get to go to all the parties leading to the contest. So um, she signed me in, and I was like, okay, why not? Right. So I thought that the whole thing was arranged, but obviously it wasn't, because I ended up winning.
Mm,
And that opened the doors for me to start modeling. To I got contracts with four models, and trips all over the place.
mm,
Uh, it was magic. It was fantastic, but I was very very young at the time. So I ended up finishing high school like at nighttime at the school, and my mom was like, "Sure, just I can't stop you. This is one opportunity in a million. So, but if you feel like you are responsible enough to live by yourself in Europe and New York, you should be responsible enough to make your own money." So I got emancipated, and that's it. And then I started traveling the world, and it was an adventure. It was beautiful, but it was not deep for me. It just
mm,
my success. I ended up being very very successful. I did everything, but it wasn't coming from me. It was just
mm,
because of the way I look mostly, right? So I never felt really like satisfied and
mm,
fulfilled. Complete. I never had that opportunity of build, to go to college and to study and to feel responsible for my success.
mm,
Anyway, but I thought that's how you're supposed to feel. I made money, I traveled, I ended up in New York. I was like, okay, let me try something else. I ended up doing stand-up comedy for a while, and that was amazing too. Still looking for something else. And I met my husband, and I ended up moving to Florida and having my beautiful, amazing kids. And even with like being so lucky and having everything that you can imagine, um, and the love of my family, I still felt like something was missing. And I remember my husband being like, "I just can't see you like that. Just do anything you can to feel better. Like, take this trip, do this course. Like, I do anything." And I felt so bad, because really, I had no reason to feel like that. But anyway, this kind of dark night of the soul that I had, that I went through, led me to investigate, to start doing things, to start taking courses, read. I found poetry. I found an advertising for a workshop, and I was like, wow. And this is around COVID, right? So everything was pretty dark, and I was just so much trying to connect with myself, and
mm,
poetry. I did a workshop. After workshop, I ended up going to Morocco to study poetry as well for a while, and I just became very passionate about it. And what had made me feel so good is that poetry, it almost feels like fantasy, right? When you're writing poetry, because you write out of your heart, right? Whatever is going on with you, and you put it in paper, but it's kind of separate. So it's not so intimidating as just like at the beginning, or going to a psychologist or something to
Mhm.
wow, get all that. And but it's just, it's there in the paper, it's a piece of art, and it's you. So you get to see from a little bit of a distance what's going on with you. And that helped me a lot. I mean, I had wrote poetry that was very sad sometimes and moving, but it was me. And I was like, wow, do I feel this way? So I continued writing poetry, and I came back home after Morocco super inspired, and I ran into Jay Shetty advertising for the school. At the time, I had no idea what life coaching was, but I was like, this feels like something that I need to do. And I asked my husband, and he's like, sure, go for it. I'm like, great. So I had the support of my family. They gave me, extra time, because everything takes time, of course. And I fell in love with coaching as well. I mean, just the fact to be able to help people. And I'm making it short, but I went through a lot of pain. And I know we all have a crazy childhood. I feel like everybody I meet, they go like, wow, I have a crazy. So, I did have that, and a lot of the insecurities and disconnection that I had, it comes from there as well. But by seeing what coaching was about, and realizing that actually this time I have the power to help
Mm.
people and be the person that I needed when I was lost, confused, disconnected, I just, I loved it so much. So I did my course, I did the launch pad, and then I did intro for NLP, I did my certification for positive intelligence, and I was just obsessed. And now that I feel like, I'm solid in my coaching, I have helped so many people. I'm also working for a nonprofit organization called Fearless Women, so I also have pro bono clients. And I was just, wow, this is amazing. I can do that. How can I do this for more people? And how can I make it even stronger? And then I was like, that's it. I'm going to coach through poetry. So that's when I actually hired a coach, somebody that we both know that works in your band, that works in passion. Yes. And he guided me a little bit on how to put these things together, because technology certainly is not my forte. But I'm getting there. I'm getting much better. And yes, so now I created a course about, like, it's mostly like group coaching, where we get together, we get to know each other, we have some awareness practices, and then I will be giving a prompt to the participants. And the first one is definitely going to be about authenticity, because that's my passion. Because really, until I found my authentic self, I was able to be free and feel like I'm feeling right now, which happened through coaching and through poetry. So that's going to be the first theme. And so then I will give them prompts about that, and then I will let them open their imagination, their heart, and drop all those feelings in the paper. And that alone, I feel like, is so transformative, just creating something. Because creativity, I mean, I know about coaches that they work with painting or music, right, with all kind of different creative outlets. So poetry is just like that, but even
Mhm.
better. Because I love it. So that alone, I feel like, is just transforming. And then, share it, like whoever wants to share it, because I think that when we share our creation, it becomes real. And then you're just so proud. It's something so beautiful about just creating something, like you make something, and then sharing it, which you can help everyone else like that, because we all can see ourselves in each other. We're mirrors of each other. Things in our life might happen at a different time, but they are all going to happen to all of us. So then out of that, the people that chooses to share, there will be like almost like a mini coaching session out of what they wrote. And I can't wait to see how that works out. So yeah, that's what's going on.
Wow. Well, first, I love that you worked with Ben. I know Ben is fantastic. I know he works with coaches on their passion projects and turning their passion project into into work that they can do with their clients or coaching peers and just their chosen community. So I think that that's amazing that you partnered up with and worked with another coach to have that come to fruition for you.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I love to hear that coaches helping other coaches. Um,
We
but also,
cannot do everything alone, like we all have our strength, and for us to focus in our strength, sometimes we need to ask for help with the things that they are a struggle for us, or we don't like. I'm very creative and passionate and romantic and all that stuff, but when it comes to like technology, I feel a little resistance, although I'm learning, and that also gives me confidence. But it's good to ask for help, and coaches need coaches. Like, I believe in coaching so much, and I have coaches. Ben is one of them, and I have had other coaches through my when I was doing my certification, and even after, and whenever I feel like I'm going to lose it, because I feel like that sometimes in my personal life or in my professional life, there's I just know exactly who I need to call, and I'm like, SOS, I need my brigade of coaches coming to the rescue.
absolutely. And on that note, Ben just chimed in. Hi, Ben. I'm just going to read his comment. Ben said, here to support the both of you on your journeys. Absolutely love what both of you bring to this world. Oh, Ben, we love what you bring to this world. So grateful for you.
Thank you.
And you're absolutely right. I agree with you wholeheartedly, 100%, that we get farther together and we do need to lean on each other and lean on our support networks and our community because it is a source of strength. And by picking up where another person leaves off, you really do create this sense of unity. And like you said, um, well, even though you mentioned technology, I think you're really great with technology. I love your videos. So I love your videos. I love your website. So I'm like, oh, that's interesting because I'm looking at you like, wow, she's amazing. Like, how do I do that? So I feel like that really shows your growth. And also, you never know from the outside looking in what someone's struggling with or what someone overcame. It might have been a stuck point, but they're actively taking steps to push past it and to get to the other side of it. And I feel like that in itself speaks to authenticity and also highlights how authenticity can get in our way sometimes. If we identify as someone who's not a public speaker or not good at technology, well, how can we get to that next level of ourselves and really help the people that we truly want to help?
Yeah.
And I think it was Brandon Bouchard that said this, that when you're stuck in your own anxiety of what you feel like you can or can't accomplish, like, oh, I'm not going to do that because I'm not good at that, you're actually robbing others of your gifts. And in that sense, you need to remember it's not about you. And if you can just step outside that ego part, the insecurity part, the stuck point, you'll realize how far you can really go and how far that also translates to others. So I think that's amazing. And the fact that you're here today, it shows you are a living embodiment of, hey, this is a challenge point for me, or maybe there's some resistance. So that's the place that I'm
Yeah.
gonna go. And I love that because that's what I
We need to lean into that. Whenever I'm really scared about something, I know that it's important for me and that I have to lean into that. And I might ask for help, but for help also to learn. So next time I know how to do that. We have to lean on that. And what you say about sharing with others, I mean, I'm very spiritual. I'm a very spiritual being. So that also gives me a lot of peace, because I trust in life, even when there is moments that they are not so cute, right? But I feel like we are all, absolutely everyone in this world is born with a gift.
mm,
That's our gift. But just it's a society sometimes guided through where they want us to go, and you're from your parents to school, sometimes to friends, to fashion, to the beauty industry, to everything. But at the end of the day, you need to listen to yourself, and you have your own story, and you have your own gift, and your job in this life is to find that
mm,
gift and then share it with the world. And when you find something, that it can make other people's lives better, I mean, that is the secret for happiness. People say, how are you so happy? I'm like, whenever I'm sad, instead of thinking what I'm going to do for myself, I just, like, first thing I do is just go do something nice for someone else.
Mm-hmm.
Immediately, like, it drops the sadness. It just drops, because there's nothing as amazing as knowing that you have the power to make others feel better and to help others. That's just such a gift. So find your
Mm-mm.
doing everything perfect. Can you hear me?
Yes, I
Okay.
can.
And just like I said before, it's fine to fail. It's fine to make mistakes. It's fine to change your mind. It's fine to have more than one purpose. It's fine to change your purpose along the way. It's just like sometimes we get so stuck in one thing, and we're so close-minded, and almost we're scared of what others are going to say if you quit. Like, I started a course like a couple of months ago that I was very excited about. And then I realized that I hated it. I didn't want it. And at the beginning, I was like, I already signed up. I told everybody I was going to do that. I need to push myself through that. And then I was like, no, I don't want, this doesn't feel right. This is not me. And I'm not going to do it. And I'm going to drop it. And this doesn't mean that I'm a quitter. That means that I want to use my time to find what is right for me, you
Mm-hmm.
know? And we judge ourselves so much.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we oftentimes can be our own worst critics and be so hard on ourselves or feel like, oh, because we chose a certain path, now we have to stay on that path. It's like, well, I've chosen this, I redesigned my life around it, made sacrifices, other people made sacrifices. Like some things are bigger than others, but when it has that magnitude, we tend to attach ourselves to it and feel like we have to make it work. I know when I was in my clinical program, I was so excited at first and I was so happy. It was something I wanted to do for so long. And a couple years into it, I just wasn't feeling the same. And I noticed it wasn't getting better and I felt myself dragging. And to a certain point, I sat down with my family, like, look, I don't know what's wrong. And they started going through each area of my life. And when I got to school, I was like, oh, well, that's the only time I feel that way. And they said, well, do you feel that way when you're not in school, like when I'm on breaks? And I was like, no. And they kind of all just like looked at me and I'm just like, because like it was a PhD program, so it's less than like 3% of the population get in, less than 1% from my background get in. So in that moment, like in those early moments of considering that decision, I was thinking, well, who am I to quit this program, like to leave something that's so hard for other people to get in? But that just speaks like what you're saying about all of these narratives that we add in that are just not serving us. And I respect so much that when you said you were working on whatever program you were working on, once you felt that it wasn't working for you, something wasn't aligned, you stopped. That was it. And some of us, it does take longer for us to get there, but when you do arrive, it can be scary. It definitely can be scary, but it's so freeing. So I so appreciate you saying that. I feel like that resonates with so many people. So thank you so much for saying that.
Especially, like teenagers, or kids that they are finishing school and they don't know what to do, and they pick a career because they're supposed to, or because their parents did that, and they continue with that even if they hate it. Like, that's a waste of time. It's
Mm-hmm.
change your mind, and it's going to happen. Don't feel guilty. Don't you cannot always follow up everyone's rule. Certain things you just have to be authentic. You need to listen to your heart and be like, this is what I want to do. And sometimes you're going to piss a lot of people off. uh, no, I do, but but at the end of the day, you are going to regret not being true to yourself more than anything. That's for sure.
Absolutely. That deeply resonates, and it makes me think back to what you said earlier about how when you were younger, when you were discovered, so to speak, with modeling, which is amazing, by the way. I don't know if I said that earlier. I think that's so exciting. I know I have, I think, two friends that did modeling, and each different. They're each a little different, and I think it's so cool. I mean, being around the entertainment industry for a while, 'cause I had friends and different parts of it. It is a completely different world. It's a completely different world. It's a different life. I actually was just thinking yesterday, just seeing a couple of like pictures of my friends, and I was like, wow, that was so normal for me for so long. But like you're saying, you can modify your life at any time. It can look how you want it to look. And the fact that your life may look completely different now versus a couple years ago or even a couple months ago, like that's completely okay. And it's about how you're feeling within yourself. And from what you were saying earlier, when you were younger and on this track and we're Miss Argentina and won the beauty pageant, which sounds so cool and fun. I know I had a friend, I think she was Miss Guatemala at one point or a commentator for it or something. So I just think it's so cool. It's like really amazing that you had the opportunity to be a part of that and so young. That's really exciting. But the fact that you felt that feeling, you were able to identify that feeling of not owning your success, feeling like this isn't something you worked for. I find that very interesting. And I was wondering, can you speak a little bit more about that in terms of authenticity and what you would recommend to someone who might be feeling this way but is having a hard time identifying it and also stepping into their authenticity?
Well, I feel like when it comes to my modeling career, I feel like everybody has a crazy idea of what that is, that everyone does that is just so happy that, oh my goodness, and the TV commercial or the billboard, the campaigns, the magazines, and when you're doing it, it's a job, right? And it's a job that you cannot control because it's really based on the way you look. So it just becomes very hard, like mentally and emotionally. You have to always look cute. So God forbid that you don't sleep well, right? So then you're already freaking out about that. Your skin has to look good. You have to stay in shape, and that's just awful. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I it was just when I became the most successful was when I wasn't making so much money by myself, so I had to eat whatever was the cheapest thing ever, right? Which when I started being successful, I was in Paris at the time. I was living in an apartment with 17 other girls, so that was crazy. And I wasn't eating much. I mean, it's not that I could afford to go to restaurants or whatever. So I lost a lot of weight, and that's when I became super successful because it was the time of the heroin chic. Well, you're too young probably to know that, but um, so and then you have the pressure to stay that way, and thank goodness that I exercise, so I'm able to manage that. But it was stressful, and you think, wow, I'm doing this, right? Everyone in the world wants to do this. And how unfair is that I am not really jumping up and down of joy, right? I'm like, okay, so if I if I do a cover of Elle magazine, I'm just going to be so happy. And then, oh my God, it's coming out tomorrow. And then you see it and you're like, oh, that lasts like a whole 5 seconds. And back when I was telling you how when you help others, that feeling never goes away. And every time you think about what that feeling, it comes back, right? But when it's something like that, I was like, oh, okay, so now what? Because it's not that I studied, that I sweat, that it was my passion. I was lucky, but it wasn't my dream. So it's all like, I'll be happy when. And this is not just in modeling, we live our life like that. Well, I'm going to work so hard and do this, and then I'm going to be happy. I'm going to be happy when I get this job. I'm going to be happy when I get married. And no, the truth is that you need to make yourself happy. And you need to know that happiness is circumstantial, so it's not, you're not going to be happy all the time. You need to be okay with not being happy sometimes, because life it's like that. You cannot fight that. You cannot medicate yourself your way through happiness. You cannot be always traveling or just keep having kids or whatever. You can do that. It's just something that we learn to appreciate the little moments, and that happiness is right here. It's not, in the past. Oh, I was so happy when whatever. There's nothing we can do about that. Oh, I'm be happy when nothing. It's always going to be a now. So if you're not happy now, it's not going to just like rain happiness. So we need to enjoy those moments and try to find a balance, and being like, okay, when things are great, and okay, when things are not so great. And then, when those moments of happiness, a graduation, a birthday, whatever it is, come, yes, rejoice, but know that you don't own that.
Mm.
It's not for you to keep, it's for you to enjoy. And then, life, go back to normal. And we need to be okay with that as well.
Absolutely. And you touched on a couple of important things that I want to highlight. One of the things you mentioned was in psychology, this concept of arrival fallacy, of all of this expectation that comes up of how we think we will feel when we arrive somewhere, when we get a degree, get into a program, get married, have kids, get the house, the car, the job, career, whatever. And like you said, it's so true what you said, that it lasts a moment, a couple minutes, that high, that celebration moment of like, oh yay, and then it goes back down. You go back to yourself. And a lot of times I feel like people in that moment, they think, well, now what? And then that's where the emptiness comes of, you have this void that you feel like you need to fill, because what you thought would fill it and would make you feel a certain type of way didn't. And then it's this endless cycle of chasing things instead of, now the second point that I want to highlight that you brought up, which is so so important, is the difference between happiness versus fulfillment. And I don't think a lot of us realize that happiness is fleeting. We shouldn't be chasing happiness. The goal should not to be happy. And I know that might sound crazy. Like, who is this lady telling me not to be happy? No, that's not what it is. But if you can understand what true contentment and fulfillment is, and the difference between what that feels like versus these these fleeting moments of happiness, you are truly better
Yeah.
off. And like you said, to exemplify a moment of, well, how would I know if I feel fulfilled? When you said serving others, living in your purpose, going beyond yourself to make a difference in someone else's life, that is moments of fulfillment. Those when a single mom who's working and going to school but yet still has time to pick her child up from soccer practice, or have maybe like 10-15 minutes before bedtime, all
Yeah.
of those moments, they really get overshadowed, and we don't talk about these moments enough, and how significant they are, and truly how all these moments, they add up and they build to who we are later, and those are the moments that we talk about and that we remember. So thank you so much for bringing that up.
Of course.
Yeah, absolutely. And my dad just joined my live. He never joined my live before. Hi, dad. I don't know how long you could stay,
So that,
but Aw, that made me so happy. When we were just talking about happiness,
yeah.
um
But you
but
see, rejoice. Those moments, they come, and it's amazing. But then something could happen, right? A call can fall, or just you twist your ankle, or whatever. You know, I I learn, and it's helping me so much. And it sounds silly. It's just to almost have a conversation with myself, with God, with the universe. Like, when something happens, I'm like, okay, yeah, that's funny, right? Okay, you're not gonna get me. I'm gonna make it to this too. This is just a test. And then, you make it. We made it to 100% of everything that happened to us because we're here. So we don't need to underestimate ourselves. We can do hard things, and it's just part of life. Once you accept what's happening, and it's like something happened, and or either you accept it or you change it. If you can change it, please go for it. But if you cannot, just make peace to it. That's it. This is what's happening now. How am I going to react to that? That's the only thing that you can manage, and there's many tools for that. I mean, it took me a long time and all this studying and everything to actually understand everything that I'm talking about now, because before it will sound a little oohoo. But once you get it, it just makes such a difference. This is what I can do about it, and that's it. I can do something, I do it, I cannot, I don't, and this too shall pass.
absolutely. And I'm going to read a comment in the chat here. I agree 100%. We celebrate great things only for that day. So much excitement leading up to that day, then it's over and it's gone. Celebrate it longer, relive it, and feel the happiness. I love that so
Yeah.
much. I agree. 100%. I even celebrate on my own when I have these little mini wins. Um, I feel like something where an area of life where that happens is entrepreneurship, where it's highs and lows, and it's like this big roller coaster. And you have a lot of the wins that you have are often not always financial wins. It might be just that you had a call with a certain person, or someone agreed to collaborate with you on a project. And that's something that I've noticed, and I when I read that comment, that's what came up, and I feel like it's so important to just really highlight these moments. Like I had a moment the other day where I felt like it was such a big win, but I celebrated by myself, just like was super excited, just like in the room, and was like freaking out. It made me so excited to like for the rest of my day. But but um but I digress because I can keep going to change it. But so thank you so much for sharing your story. I feel like it really speaks to a lot of people and your journey with where you came from and even trying different things. Like you said, you left home at 15 and went to travel Europe, travel the world, made it to the US and did comedy. So what would you say to people who might maybe they want a change, maybe they feel like there's some staleness or stagnation in their life and they feel like they want to take a step outside of their norm or their normal boundaries, but they don't know where to start, or they might be feeling nervous, or like you mentioned earlier, worried about what people would think. What would you say to them about how to lean into their authenticity and really just discover what that means for them?
Yes. Well, authenticity is not something that we can find because authenticity is who we are. We're born with that. You know, you can call it your inner child. Like there is something inside of that is us, right? But then, society, and I always use this ball as to explain, we're the little ball inside here, and then all these elastic things that go on top is just like stuff that we learn. That they teach us since we're born. It's passed from generation to generation, but we are always authentic. But when we disconnect for so long, we kind of believe the stories that everybody else is telling us, and we don't even think about what's happening. So the first step is just to think about who you are, right? And how I did that in my process. It was just like, what did I like to do when I was little, right? I was calling my friends, like, how was that at that point? What did I like to do? Was I fun? Was I did? So realize, remember who you are, and nobody's perfect. So I'm sure there are going to be things that you're like, oh, I wish I didn't do that. Just forgive yourself. We all do the best that we can with what we have at the time that happens. So let go of that. That's just doesn't serve you to hold on to things, to feel guilty, to feel ashamed. So get to know yourself, forgive yourself, accept yourself, and
Mm-hmm.
learn to love yourself for who you are. A human being with all these emotions, all these things. I mean, it's just crazy just even to be alive. So remember who you are and what other tools you can use: poetry, journaling, meditation. What excites you? Is it cooking? Is it whatever it is, whatever makes you happy? Do more of that, because that's where your authentic self lives. When you get this curiosity for things, that is your authentic self trying to come out. So listen to that, listen to your intuition, trust yourself. And listen, at the end of your life, you're not going to be thinking, oh, I regret not doing more of the things that Uncle Jerry wanted me to do. No, you're going to regret not living a life like according to your authentic self. So remember that. Go forward in time and think about that. What is truly important for me? What am I going to regret when I'm 100 years old, right? And then also go back to that little girl and be like, what do you need? What can I give you now that you didn't have when you were that little? And then when you start putting all these things together and getting comfortable with who you are, and really not, and being authentic doesn't mean being rude and telling people mean things. Just being okay with who you are and showing up as yourself everywhere you go. Not, oh, I am one person at work, one person with the moms at school, one person. No, you are. Just show up as yourself and be honest, and share your authentic struggles, the things that you go through that normally you will think that they're weird or bad, because you will be surprised how many people is going through what you are going through, what everybody's going. But the thing is, just we keep everything inside because we think that it make us weak to share. When actually, it takes courage
Mm-hmm.
go out there and to realize and be humble enough to be like, oh gosh, I failed. This took me so long. Like nobody show up, whatever it is, you know. But when we share that and we give permission to others to be able to be okay with who they are, that's purpose right there, right? That's just being that one piece that fits in the puzzle of like growth. I feel like we are living in a time now that a lot of changes are happening. We're a lot focused on spirituality a lot, and you see in social media and about mental health, and there is not just celebrities now there is people just like you, me, and my neighbor, whoever, that leaves messages, authentic messages, encouragement, or they are trying to share with the world what they need. And that's new, that's relatively new, right? So it's the beginning of something huge, and I am so happy to be a part of it. And we are all important. We're all at the same level, and what all of us think it matters, and everything we do, it makes a difference. So
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is, if you think that your purpose is to be an amazing mom, or just like smiling to everyone you see when you're walking around, whatever it is, just do that. Do what makes you happy, do what feels authentic to you, and just drop the mask, because it's exhausting trying to keep up with different personas, which I think that a lot of us do or did, and just go for who you are, and your life is going to be a lot easier and better and happier.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love that. I love what you said about vulnerability being a strength and that there's power in your vulnerability and asking for help, speaking to people, just trying new things. And what you said, dropping the mask, that's so powerful because it is exhausting. And it's so interesting how once you start doing that self work and gain self acceptance because you've spent time learning or relearning who you are, what you like, um, what you enjoy, what your purpose is, it becomes very clear to see when others are at an earlier place of where you are. And sometimes like you just want to help them, but you have to allow people to come to those places on their own time. And when they do it, it is so meaningful. But we're coming up on the end of our live here. Thank you so much for joining, Lorena. I appreciate everything that you said. And I I'll say it again. I love that you're helping your clients through poetry and these different mediums. I feel like that's very powerful, and to use creative expression to help others achieve the best version of themselves is a truly useful tool, and I feel like that's very thoughtful of you to do. So, is there anything else that you would like to say, or any note that you would like to leave off on? And share with everyone?
I think that we covered everything. I want to thank you so much for having me here, and I encourage everyone to let go of all the chains of conformity, and just step a little bit outside the lines, and try the things that they make you happy, without caring about the end goal so much. Just enjoy the journey, because the journey has a lot of mini goals, that at the end of the day, when you reach where you thought it was your goal, it's going to be so much better. So start today. Just live in the moment, listen to your heart, and surround yourself with people that supports you. That with people that adds value to you, that makes you happy, that you feed off their energy, and they can feed off your energy, because your community is very, very important for support. We cannot do this alone, like we said, and it's a lot harder to be able to always having to explain yourself, or being afraid of being certain way or another one, or being judged. Just choose the people around you, uh, being smart, and creating a tribe for all of them, all of the participants to grow together.
Absolutely, 100%. That's the note we're going to leave off on because that's so meaningful. Thank you so much for joining us. And I can't wait to see you again on one of our coaching calls or speak with you on one of these platforms again, Lorena. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.